Hey everybody, it's Mike and welcome to Chip Damage. And today we're going to have some fun with the video. Today we're going to be talking about something that doesn't influence a video game's actual quality one bit, but maybe the very first thing that you ever see of a video game, and that is its box art, its cover art more specifically. And yeah, I was inspired to do this because I was reminiscing of a time before the internet when a video game's box art, the box artist in particular, their job was to attract you to the game, so you would pick it up, check it out, and that was, the first experience that you would have with the game. If you didn't see it in a magazine or an ad, well before the internet, it was that artist's job to catch your eye. And as we go into the more digital age, box art becomes less and less of a thing, less of an important thing. And I just wanted to recognize some of my favorite box arts in my collection, because you know what? A good box art really stands out. And when you conjure the mental image of a video game, sometimes the very first thing that comes to mind is that cover art. So, of course, I couldn't pull every one of my favorite cover arts from my collection. This video would be very, very long. So I just pulled some select ones from different generations that I wanted to highlight here today. So let's jump into it, shall we? And if you like quirky videos like this, please like, subscribe, and do all that YouTube stuff. So without further ado, let's begin with the game that you've been looking at this whole time. The cover art that kind of inspired this, stirred the emotion in my head, in my heart, and the thought in my head. And that is the cover art for Gravity Rush Remastered on the PS4. Yes, I love this cover. So as a note, this is Gravity Rush 1. That was originally a Vita game, PS Vita game, brought to the PS4 a few years later and remastered. And to get a physical version of this in the United States, it was a Amazon.com exclusive. You had to order this. It was not sold regularly in stores. So it's kind of hard to come by. And that's a real shame because I really love this cover art. It's very striking. It's simplistic, right? It's not high octane action or anything. It just kind of exemplifies what the game is kind of about. You play as this girl, Kat, who has the ability to not quite fly, but fall in any direction. And that just shows. It shows her and her cat, Dusty, which bestows her powers upon her, flowing. And it's, I love that void of a background, so you really have to focus on Kat and Dusty. And it kind of, she looks kind of happy falling. So it kind of just gives this sense of wild abandon, this kind of artsy feel. It's a real shame this wasn't sold in store shelves, but maybe because it was a order only item, they didn't have to kind of have that action-y, cover where Kat would just be kicking towards the screen screaming, or kicking towards the audience. They could have this more artsy interpretive cover, and it's really one of my favorite covers of all time. And I just have to say this, Gravity Rush 1 and 2 are my top PS4 games of all time, top Sony franchise of all time. I really wish that team didn't dissolve. But yeah, Gravity Rush Remastered on PS4, amazing cover. Sticking with PS4 and kind of limited releases, let's go with the re-release of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Yes, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in particular. Now this is the re-release of the game. From 2016, the game originally releasing back in 2011 on last-gen 360 and PS3 consoles. Right before MVC Infinite came out, they re-released this physically, and in the US, I believe this was a GameStop exclusive for the PS4 and Xbox One, so these are getting kind of harder to come by. And the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 artwork was kind of terrible. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the 360's cover was pretty good, but this art is just fantastic. This is, I believe, my boy Capcom and SNK legendary artist Shinkiro, his handiwork here, and we're going to see a bit more of him later on. Just kind of having the entire, or good chunk of the MVC3 cast on here, 50-person roster, still fantastic. Just having two icons in the center, pretty much the biggest, two of the biggest Marvel and Capcom icons, Wolverine and Ryu going at it with the boss Galactus in the back. I love that. I love how goofy Frank West's popping out there with his Widow's Peak, and Virgil up here. I love the little nuances kind of snuck in there, even with all the extra data of the title on there. They still fit a lot in there. Shuma Garath chilling out back here and what have you. And Amaterasu from Okami in between Phoenix and Iron Man laughing with MODOK back there. I love this cover. Sad it's a limited release, but a lot of detail in this. Really gets you hyped if you're a Marvel and or Capcom fan. But Yeah, let's move on to another PS4 limited release. This is another GameStop physical exclusive in the United States, and that is the cover for Sayonara Wild Hearts. I love this game. I originally bought this game digitally, as it was, I believe, only released digitally for quite a while. It's one of my favorite indies. If you don't know, Sayonara Wild Hearts is like a rhythm game that's styled like an adventure game. It's like a playable album. Definitely worth checking out. It's like $15, and got this somewhat limited release that's pretty easy to come by even now. Not expensive. I think this was like $15, maybe 20. And yeah, you can't really tell what the game is by looking at it, other than it has a lot of style, right? You'd have to read the back. A pop album video game, yeah, that would be the best way to display. You kind of play an album, and I just love the light purples, the neon blues, the pinks. It just tells you whatever this is, it's cool. It's got style, right? You got everyone in domino masks, kind of like these leather jackets, like, high school leather jackets / vests, motorcycles, katanas, and the name of the game alone, Sayonara Wild Hearts. This is a Dreamcast game made in the modern era. You could just tell. Yeah, I love it. Minimalist, but you could tell there's something to it. Yeah, I would pick this up and go like, what's this all about? I like what I'm seeing here. So yeah, good on you, Sayonara Wild Hearts, in that limited release. But let's jump to a few years prior to one of my favorite series that comes up quite often in my channel, and that is the Kingdom Hearts series. And how can you bring up great covers without bringing up the original Kingdom Hearts 1 cover? Yes, with its pseudo holographic, like kind of shiny cover. Now, for people who don't know, who don't play Kingdom Hearts, the first couple of Kingdom Hearts games, and really the best ones, have a very melancholic feel, like a sad feel to them, despite being like this mashup between Final Fantasy and Disney and its own original characters. Like there's like this sad sense of longing in these games, and I think this cover really emphasizes it. Like, yeah, Sora's there with his buddies Donald and Goofy, but they look kind of sad. Kairi as well, and Riku looking the other way, saying that he's kind of like different than the others, like he's not quite on the same page. I really think that shines, and like, it's not like this big bombastic thing yet again. It's just like these characters looking like they're going through it. Like they make Donald and Goofy look like they're really going through it, and that says something. Back in the day when Disney and Square weren't quite as icky. I mean, hell, these were the Square soft days with the original release. Have a little pseudo Heartless back there. It's not really what they look like in the game. That could be like I've always wondered, is that like a statue? Is that like a prototype Heartless? But yeah, I really love that, and that really carried over to the next game. With the Kingdom Hearts 2, which I like almost as much. Yet again, everyone looks, except for Goofy, smiling, like kind of solemn. Like, yeah, this is an adventure, and you can kind of see, like this serious kind of tone. And if you look closely, it's a little hard to pick up. Diz and Ansem hiding in the background there. Foreshadowing Mickey on top. And yeah, great cover. Maybe not as good as the first one. I just love they kept the holographic theme. On that, as well as if you turn both of these sideways, you will see that they both like line up with a key, right? And this is the era when they went from Square Enix, Squaresoft to Square Enix, but the fonts do line up and the keys line up. And these games came out 4 years apart, so that's pretty cool. And just to bring it into the mix, like in 2008, there was a re-release of the Game Boy Advance only game on the PS2, kind of a total remake with Chain of Memories. Not my favorite Kingdom Hearts game, but for a game where like they mixed real-time combat and like card deck building, not bad. And they, even though it was near the end of the PS2 lifespan, they still decided to give it that pseudo holographic cover. Not as great, I would say, but I really do love like just the dichotomy that you're Sora and Riku, you get to play as both, and they kept that holographic sense. So like, yeah, all three have like a holographic shine to it, which I really love. However, unfortunately, Chain of Memories does not line up quite as nicely with the others. But let's put that aside and just have the numbered big boys in here and bring in Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, what can I say? We waited so many years for this game, and what did we expect the cover to be? Yet again, I love that even in the more modern era, Square still has some heart, as it were. Like, it's not Sora leaping at you with the Keyblade in hand and whatnot. It's the entire cast from multiple games all lined up saying like, hey, we're here for the big one. We're here for Kingdom Hearts 3, looking into the distance, ready for whatever comes. You have from the main games, Sora, Kairi, Riku. You have from 358 Days, you have Roxas, Xion, and Axel down there, and down in below from my beloved Birth by Sleep, you have the whole cast. You have Terra, Ventus, Aqua, And then you kind of have Mickey and Naminé kind of on their own. Well, I guess Mickey'd be with Donald and Goofy. Naminé's kind of her own because she kind of permeates all the games. But it's like, this is the denouement, correct? This is the characters from 1, 2, and all the spin-offs come together. And I love that. I think Kingdom Hearts has some of the best covers out there yet again. No one jumping at you, swinging the Keyblade, shooting a fireball. Just kind of subdued. Kingdom Hearts 3, not as melancholy as a game as the other two, but still has, like, you know, a bit of that, and not to be a punny, but that heart. Which brings me to something in the series that I just wanted to bring up that I love is these two games right here. So this, in fact, is not just one game. This is all the Kingdom Hearts from like 1 through 3 with all the spin-offs and 3, 5, 8 Days and Dream Drop Distance brought together. And I really love that it has the covers of each one of those games on there. I love Sora on the crown, on the throne with the crown that you can unlock in Kingdom Hearts 2, I believe, if you kind of do a bunch of challenges. But when you bring it next to the game that came out after that, Melody of Memory, the rhythm game, they kept that same theme. They kept like the panels, right? And these are all like more like memories around Kairi, but I like that they're both on the same throne. Like if you look, it's the same design throne. So like if you have all in one, which like I said is just like multiple discs of all like 10 Kingdom Hearts games, with the game that released right after that, the only game that's not in this collection, you have Kairi and Sora on thrones, on the same throne, kind of side to side. Yet again, what this game doesn't actually explain what the game is. This is a rhythm game that's like styled kind of like an adventure game, but classy. I like it. I like it a lot. But let's get away from Kingdom Hearts and jump back way to the past to one of my favorite cars of all time. I have seen many a tattoo of this at many a game convention, and that is Sonic and Knuckles. Excuse my beat up old copy, but yes. Despite the new lock-on info down there and all that, I just love that for the 4th Sonic game on Genesis, Sega decided to not have all the characters on the cover. I love Sonic 1, 2, and 3's covers, but like this is like, 94. This is the 4th mainline Sonic game, 3rd and a half if you want to get technical, but like let's just call it the 4th mainline Sonic game. And they just went with like this sick logo. Like this logo is still fantastic. Just the silhouette of Sonic, which and like that's kind of the Sonic team logo you want to be, along with Knuckles, who at the time and still is one of the most popular Sonic characters. The red and blue, the yin and yang, it looks fantastic. One of my favorite old school covers ever, Sonic and Knuckles. What else is there to say? What do you need to know? That's the title of the game. Here's a logo of the characters, nothing else, no background. I love this game so much, and part of that love stems to its amazing cover art. Yes, lock-on technology, never been surpassed. But let's go back a little bit to the PS2. Let's jump up, as it were, to one of my favorite, probably my favorite game of all time, Metal Gear Solid 3, Subsistence in particular. Now, Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence was a re-release a year after the original game that added additional camera control, some new camos, a few bells and whistles here and there. The original cover, not the best. It was like Snake hiding behind a tree. It wasn't bad. But with this being a re-release, an updated version, it was sold not only to people who hadn't played the game, but people who had, because this added online as well, an online component that was actually pretty good. And if you had beaten the game, this image of Naked Snake, of Big Boss, saluting, is burned into your brain. This is one of the most iconic images in that game from a certain cutscene, and if you know what he's saluting in that game, this image hits hard, it sticks with you. It's one of the most powerful stories in video games. But even if you didn't play it, this is just cool looking. I love the jungle aesthetic still comes through with like this red leaf, but a mostly green look. It comes off as military, but not bro-y, with like this kind of being like a serious image, but it's still like kind of artistic, with it being a Yoji Shinkawa drawing, but it's very like identifiable. It sticks out, that white, that green. I really love the cover for this because it'll grab you as a newcomer, but even if you've played it, you see that and you see Snake in that outfit saluting, you're like, oh, that moment. Yeah, I love this cover. I love this game. It is my favorite game of all time. Can't wait to see how that remake goes. But let's stick in that era, in the PS2 era, the 6th gen. But let's bring in the GameCube and Xbox homies. And this is a 3-for-1. And that is the kind of the collection of the Soul Calibur 2 ports that were released in that era. So if you don't know, back in 2003, Soul Calibur 2 came out on the same day for 3 different consoles. PS2, GameCube, Xbox, all the big boys at the time. And they each had an exclusive character that was not in the other version. For PS2, it was Tekken main character, hero, and villain, depending on which game it is, Heihachi Mishima. Good pick for that. Considering Soul Calibur 2 ostensibly takes place in the Tekken universe with like a Yoshimitsu there. Doesn't matter. Fellow Namco mainstay Heihachi was in the PS2 version. For the GameCube version, somehow Namco was able to acquire Link and put him into a 3D fighting game very well. Link was a big draw for anyone who had a GameCube and wanted to play some Soul Calibur 2. And then, very weirdly, on the version that I first bought back in 03, you have Spawn in the Xbox version. And it's like, okay, I get like, you know, like at the time, Tekken was kind of the PS2 game series to have, one of them anyway. So you'd have Heihachi. Heihachi was the only character that was in all the Tekken games up to that point, still pretty much to this day. Link, next to Mario, is the biggest Nintendo character, but he fits better than Mario, obviously, into a fighting game. But what does Xbox have to do with Spawn? Like, almost nothing. Like there's, you know, Spawn's powers, like his energy blaster green, he bleeds green, like Xbox is green, I guess. Namco at the time was making a Spawn game, Spawn Armageddon, which wasn't great, but it was like right around the corner when this game came out. So I guess there was that deal in place. As well as McFarlane, Todd McFarlane had created another character for Soul Calibur 2 that appeared in all versions, Necrod, as well as did the toy line, the McFarlane toy line for Soul Calibur. So it was more like Namco's deal with McFarlane that ended up with like the reason why Spawn is an Xbox. But nonetheless, I loved him. He played really well. They turned his cape into an axe, so they didn't have to deal with the cape graphics. And that axe was also in the main playable weapon in that game, Spawn Armageddon. And you know, the Xbox was like the big beefy console, the most powerful console at the time, so it was kind of appropriate that Spawn was this big beefy dude who did the most damage out of any of the characters in any versions of the game. Like, he has certain weapons you equip that kill you in 2 hits, so it fit. But what about, I'm rambling too much about the game itself. What about the covers? I love that each one of them had a slightly different cover with completely different characters. Each one of them had their exclusive character on the top there. However, everything else is totally different in that regard. On this cover, you have Talim, Nightmare, Taki, love that. This one, Cassandra Mitsurugi. On the PS2 one, you have Astaroth, Ivy, Raphael. And they each have like a different color scheme. The logo themselves, blue for the PS2, green for GameCube, and red for Xbox. Looking great. Even though like green kind of should be Xbox for some reason. Link is green, so it works. And each of them have a different sword running through the logo. You have traditional Soul Calibur through the GameCube, the good sword. You have Soul Edge on the Xbox, burning red here. Soul Edge, the evil sword. These are the enemy swords. In Soul Calibur 2, they combine, like Soul Edge corrupts Soul Calibur, so you get this bluish purple, I forget what it's called, like the Embrace or what, corrupted Soul Calibur. So you have kind of the combination here for PS2. I love that. Like you said, Soul Edge, Soul Calibur, and corrupted Soul Calibur, distinguishing them, giving each logo, which is a great looking logo with the giant C, a different color palette, different sword. But they all have the unique, the similar aesthetic of black on the lower part of the cover and white on the upper part to let you know this is still Soul Calibur 2, no matter where you get it. I love displaying all 3 of these together. I think they look fantastic. It's really great. I mean, the Nintendo one is a little different because it has the T for teen on a different part of the cover, but it really doesn't bother me. And it has only 3 characters on it, but it just kind of distinguishes it. Each one of these looks great in their own right. And on the back side of these, even though we're talking mostly about front covers, it shows the 3 different swords, which I love, along with, Link from Legend of Zelda, Heihachi, and Spawn, the popular comic character. Just all the same, but all different. And I would love a version with all 3 of these characters in it. That has never happened. We got a version, an HD version, that has since been delisted with Heihachi and Spawn. But man, would I kill for like a Switch version that had Link, Heihachi, and Spawn in it. That would be the ultimate 3D fighter. But yes, one of my favorite fighting games of all time. One of my favorite set of covers of all time. We're getting near the end, guys, but I saved a weird one right for the middle, or near the end, I should say, and we're sticking the PS2 era. You know what? And we're talking about We Love Katamari. Katamari is Katamari Damacy, however you want to say it. I've heard it said both ways. It was such a weird hit on the PS2. It's like, you know, rolling up the world and all the stars and items into a ball, and somehow this weird concept that's really hard to explain to someone who's never seen or played it ended up being a huge franchise. And one of the sequels to the original Katamari Damacy was We Love Katamari. And I just love that, like, this is not a typical US cover. This is not a typical cover anywhere, but particularly here. Like, what is this? Yeah, you see the main character in this little house, but like, you're just walking by. This tells you nothing of the game other than it's going to be weird. Like, yeah, they're balls, but like, you have aliens and a giraffe coming to play ball with this dude. I get, like, I guess it means they come out and play again so we can re-roll, but it's just like, I love how weird it is, but I love like how simple it is, and it's funny. Like, this is just an inherently funny cover for a series that's really funny and weird, and like quirky, even mentioned on the back cover. Yeah, that is what this is. It's just like, you wouldn't have this really today. You need to know what Katamari is to have any clue at what you're looking at. Like, we love, and like why we love it. It's just, Katamari is great and weird, and I love it. And We Love Katamari's cover may be my favorite. The original Katamari has a great cover too, but this one in particular, like, just sticks out to me. I like the cows in the other one, but this one is a little bit less known, and I love it a little bit more. But speaking of covers that are just weird, this isn't necessarily one of my favorite covers, but this is the one that makes me laugh so much. It's Akai Katana, which has recently been re-released on a multitude of like digital platforms, but it was originally a 360 title. I just love bringing this up because it's like, if you were to show this to anyone, what do you think they would? What do you think they think it would be? Like, what type of game? Like, you see this pretty anime boy and girl in like this embrace with a sword between them, the moon behind them. Like, is this an action game where you play as both of these characters and fight with a katana? Is it a JRPG of some sort? Is it a dating sim set, you know, in the past or something, or in some alternate world? No, this is a shmup. This is a shooter. This is a bullet hell shooter that like is quite difficult. And it's like this cover, other than having these two planes there, conveys none of that, and I love it. And also, this is a great shooter. Like, I really like this game, but it's like, do you think you would normally be able to discern from this cover that this was the gameplay that you were going to get? And then this is not the only example of that in the shmup genre. Like, you have games like Dodonpachi Resurrection that are even more wild, but like this one in particular hides the planes, and like, you know, the name is so weird. Like, it's just, the katana doesn't really matter in this game. I guess it's part of the story, but it's on the cover twice. Like, it's in the logo and it's in his hands, and it's like, yeah, bullet hell. I love Japan. I really do. And speaking of which, I wanted to keep this mostly to North American titles officially released in the US, because generally our titles, for those of you who are overseas, are worse than yours. Our covers, I should say. We're more, they love to kind of emphasize the action element in American covers. It's not really the case, as I've seen in a lot of European and Japanese covers. But I did want to bring up one Japanese cover that I truly love, and that is the Road to Final Victory, Fatal Fury 3. So yeah, like, I don't know why. Everyone knows I'm a big SNK fan, and Fatal Fury 3 just has this Shinkaro box art of just Terry looking solemn on it. Also, the name of Fatal Fury 3, it's like Fatal Fury 3, but the subtitle in Japan is Road to the Final Victory. I picked this up at a retro store. It was in fantastic condition, and this game never got released in the US on Saturn, but I just love that, like, I don't know, it doesn't really scream fighting game. It doesn't show a huge cast of characters. It just shows this blonde man with a cap looking really serious over to the left. And I just, like, you need to know what this is. At Fatal Fury 3, at the popularity that King of Fighters and Fatal Fury were at this time, you need to just know, like, yo, it's Terry and he's serious. That means this game is serious. Which leads me to the last game that I'm going to be talking about today, and this is a limited run release here in the US. That is a recreation of the King of Fighters 97 Neo Geo cover. Yes, this is a pretty famous box art, also done by my boy Shinkaro. And what you're seeing here is actually the PS4 release of the game, and this was like a limited edition that I got through limited run. The cover art on the actual disc is pretty good, but I gotta say, like, this original art of a good chunk of the main characters just chilling on the street corner is just great. It's very stylish. It's very well done art. Like, that's intricate art if you can't tell. But to have Iori, who's kind of like the bad boy of the series, just most up front. Everyone loves Iori, to play as Iori, just being kind of up there, showing off. You have the hero, Kyo, kind of in the center, but in the background looking out at Iori, who's obviously like kind of looking away at him on purpose, kind of sense the animosity between these two. You have Blue Mary, who's a favorite, chilling there too, let you know the girls are getting in on this fight. She's gonna kick some ass. You got Billy Kane in the back, just chilling. Billy's a villain. He don't care. He'll join the heroes every now and then. Why not? Just eating an apple. Well, you can't mess with him for just doing that. You have Shingo being a doof, looking up to Kyo, who's looking at Iori. Oh, very symbolic that you have Shingo looking up to Kyo, who only cares about Iori. And you have Chris. I hate Chris. He's a pseudo villain from Team Orochi, but at the same time, he could be there. He's not doing anything. He's not making eye contact with anyone. Very like iconic piece of art. And I just wanted to bring that up as my last PS4 game today. But we have a few more games to look at from the Wii era. We're going to finish off, guys, with the Wii. And one of my favorite Wii games of all time is a little known gem known as Fragile Dreams Farewell Ruins of the Moon, which the best way I can describe this as like a survival horror with RPG elements. Watch my collectible Wii games to get more info on this one, but this is a beautiful game, and what you're actually seeing here is the reversible cover. The real quick summary is you're the last boy, or at least you think you're the last boy on Earth, right here, Seto, and you're looking for who might be the last living girl on Earth, Rin, to have a friend. You're not many people to talk to, and it's a really melancholy game, mostly set at night, kind of spooky, and that's kind of what this cover kind of shows. It's a sweet game. It's not very actiony. But like you see, it's all about connection. It's about their connection there. And you see kind of like the street sign laying in the water saying like, hey, it's kind of a ruined world. You kind of get a sense just from that. You get the idea from the back cover, the moon is going to play a large presence in that. And that like Rin kind of looking mystical off in the distance and like this lily pad field pond, as it were, just like sad, but intriguing and beautiful. And that's actually the reversible cover in the US. The original cover is still pretty good. I just like the other. It's just Seto. It's a little bit more actiony, a little bit more trying to show Seto as a badass with his golf club and flashlight with a reflection of Rin and the moon, which is nice. It's not bad, but I really love that they had this reversible cover, which is the one that I usually keep displayed. And this is a really special game, guys. It's getting really hard to find and has never been re-released digitally to my knowledge. So if you're a Wii fan, you're looking for just like something with a lot of heart that'll really pull on the strings, look for Fragile Dreams, Farewell Ruins of the Moon. It's a fantastic cover. And let's jump back. Shinkaro is getting a lot of love in this video. We are talking about Tatsunoko versus Capcom, both versions, the Japanese cross-generation of heroes and the American Ultimate All-Stars. Yes, I love these covers. I love both these covers. The first version released, the one I imported so many years ago in college, it's just fantastic. You have your Capcom characters, famous video game characters, and Tatsunoko characters, legendary anime characters, all looking happy to be there. You have Ryu and Ken the Eagle up there, like kind of repping both, half of them, but all their homies in the back. I just love like Beautiful Joe being a goofball up here, and everyone's mixed together. Legendary characters. You got Mega Man and Roll and Chun-Li, Katsura and Morgan. You have Hakujin Daimyo. I always forget, this character got removed in the American version because of like some weird licensing issues. He sucked. It didn't matter. We got 5 new characters in the English version anyway, and that version got ported back to Japan. You're not missing much, but I love this cover nonetheless. It's special. This game does not get enough love. And then you got the American cover, the Western, in the re-release, that would later be the Japanese release. And it shows off some of the new characters kind of hidden in the back, like right away, like Tekkaman Blade was a new character, Frank West from Dead Rising. I love this one too. It's almost got the MVC vibe of both sides kind of facing off, like, instead of side by side. But I still love that there's a lot of fun here. You have like the henchmen in the back or like underneath here, along with like Mega Man just having a good old time. And Ipatsu Man and Beautiful Joe just like goofing off in the back. I love both these covers. A lot of detail in both of them. Can't tell you which one I actually like more. Maybe this one by a hair, just because I think you get a little bit more better view of the characters. I think some of the art is a little sharper. But yeah, such a fantastic cover for both Tatsunoko versus Capcom versions. Play these games if you haven't, guys. And the very, very last game we'll be talking today is another Wii gem, and that is an underappreciated RPG, and that is The Last Story. Now, what you're seeing here is the collector's edition, which is nice. It's a nice cover, but I've always had a thing, if you open all this up, this game has fantastic artwork, by the way, is the regular cover. It has one of the heroines of the game on the cover, and I just love its simplicity. It's a beautiful cover. This is what you would get in the regular retail version. It's no different just because it's in the collector's edition. But something that, you rarely see outside of Hideo Kojima games is this right here, a Hironobu Sakaguchi game, music by Nobuo Uematsu. If you don't know, I don't know how you couldn't if you watch this channel, Hironobu Sakaguchi is the father of Final Fantasy, one of the creators of the series, stuck with the franchise through 1 through 10, kind of the golden era of the franchise, and then left afterwards to form his own company, Mistwalker, which would do games such as this, and Lost Odyssey on the 360. This was kind of like the Wii answer or equivalent to Lost Odyssey. And it's a really good game that's underplayed because it was a very late Wii release that came over here due to Operation Rainfall, and it was, kind of underloved in comparison to the bigger RPG of that time, which would be Xenoblade, which is an amazing game, but this game deserves some love too. But the reason this is strange is, like, usually directors don't get, this much love unless you're Hideo Kojima or Miyamoto. And Nobuo Uematsu probably is the greatest composer in all video game history. I've heard his music live many times, and he's about as good as it gets. And he is also a stalwart of the first 10 Final Fantasy games. I believe he did some music for the later entries as well, off the top of my head. But just to have this simple cover that shows this is a beautiful, maybe melancholy adventure, simplistic in its art style, and really show don't worry, if this cover and these two names tell you all you need to know. It's going to be beautiful, it's going to be well directed, and it's going to have great music. And that's that's a rare thing. You see so many games today, if they get physical releases, the people behind them, I think in comparison to music and movies, game directors and the staff that work on them, whether they be the combat, guy who designs the combat, the person who designs the music or directs, I think they should get more love. I think a lot of people ask me, what do I collect? And sometimes I go after game creators. If I heard this dev also made this series beforehand, I'll go and check it out. It's did you know that Gravity Rush, that team made the first Silent Hill game? Yeah, that was Team Silent. And that's just that leads you down a rabbit hole of quality sometimes. And I love when artists get the shout out, creators get the shout out that they deserve. And yeah, guys, that's going to do it. That ran, over a half hour of me talking about some of my favorite covers of all time. Let's bring some back in as I close up. And that just lets you know that video games are an art, absolutely. And, there's so many things that go into making a good one. Gameplay, story, music, what have you. And, a lot of people have hands on games. And one of them that often gets underappreciated is the cover artist. Like I said, sometimes when you think, Metal Gear 3, this might be the first image that pops into your mind, or Sonic and Knuckles, maybe it's this image, and that means something. I think that's an art form that's underappreciated. I just wanted to talk about it and rabble with you guys tonight about that. And if you like videos like this, please let me know in the comments below, as well as some of your favorite covers of all time, some of your favorite designs of all time, game covers that that just are your mental image of that game that you think you want to shout out, and let me know. Maybe I have it in the collection. Maybe I'll do another one of this video. I had a few more that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to go too long. So yes, I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you've liked it, please like and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. My name is Mike. This has been Chip Damage, and please take care of yourself.